where I got to be on a panel of neurodiverse voices in publishing to celebrate my upcoming book exposures. Getting to attend conferences and cons as an author and illustrator is always a really fun experience. I'm often in my own little world as a creator. I can regularly see no one for days at a time, just cranking away on my writing and thinking big thoughts and drawing things that come out of my imagination. Wonderfully, this accumulates in books. My regular time is spent really solitarily. So, attending a conference is always like the most different from my schedule than my life can possibly be, which is why I think it's fun to film it and like share what it's like for me. It's definitely the most out of my head experience possible. I feel really grateful to schools and libraries for what they have afforded me. I'm not a best-selling author, but I am a solid selling author thanks to schools and libraries. It's librarians whose enthusiasm for my work, along with educators who use my books in classrooms, have really given me this ability to be a children's book author and illustrator for nearly 13 years now. This is my first official event celebrating Exposures, which is my upcoming middle grade graphic novel about OCD. Exposures will be out on August 11th, 2026. If you're watching this after that date, it's out in the world. My main takeaway from TLA was that librarians are the best. I'm forever grateful to all the librarians who make my books accessible for readers. Each day, librarians head into work getting books into the hands of readers. These readers come from all walks of life because libraries make books accessible. Every single person who patronizes a library deserves access to books because library patrons encompass all of humanity. From kids to reluctant readers to immigrants to the elderly, libraries are a safe haven and often a third space for so many people. Books provide mirrors for a person to reflect their own identity and see it represented in media, but books also provide windows in which readers can learn about other experiences different than their own. In a time where the hatred of the other is running rampant, it's more important than ever for young minds to have access to books that help them understand themselves and build empathy for others. This concept is crucial for young readers and those who are learning about the world around them. At TLA, I got to sit on a wonderful panel celebrating neurodiversity with Alexandra Ott, Kat Koenig, Meg Eden Kayet, and moderated by librarian Erin Jewell. We were able to share what it's like living with neurodiversity as creators and how that inspired our neurodiverse characters and our hopes and dreams for our books that shed a positive light on what it means to think differently.
So each author, instead of me introducing you, I would like you to introduce yourself and just give us a 30-second, minute, however long preview of your book, because a lot of these are brand new books that people might not know yet.
And I think like that's part of why I set out to work on this book is now we have such amazing representations, especially in middle grade of OCD, and I've read those as an adult and I connected to them a lot. Like Real Friends is one of my favorites. It's there. So I feel like now we have some amazing representations of it. Growing up though, I can't say I had a ton. My book's not out yet, so I obviously don't know like how people will interact with it. My hope is that when you see Peyton doing this in the book, and because it's a graphic novel, like all the anxiety is illustrated on the page, my hope is that you'll see that even though she's afraid, she's so brave because she's undertaking this massive thing to try to get better and try to be able to live her life in a way that feels more comfortable. And to do that, she has to constantly be confronting her biggest fears. And I don't know if that's like a full, like, someone does that too, but I think it was my response to how people flippantly use the term OCD. Things Peyton struggles with is she's deeply afraid of the color red. She associates it with blood, and so she worries if she wears red, she'll get harmed that day. And I knew that going into it. It's in the text. But one of the most amazing things about making a graphic novel is it's a team effort. So I'm actually not the colorist on my book. Rebecca Good did such an amazing job coloring this book, and she brought her own vision to it. And then she was shepherded by Steve Ponso, who is the art director on this book. And together, like, the three of us got to make this amazing end product. So one of the things Rebecca and I talked about is like how OCD feels in my body. And it always feels like I'm hot and like I'm burning up and I'm going to die. And so for her, she was able to like reflect that really well in the art, knowing that red is a trigger color for Peyton. And then she brought this other amazing vision to it where she really loved how in the beginning, Peyton is a black and white thinker. That's a very classic hallmark of OCD, is you think in incredible binary. And so as her world opens up, more color is introduced into the book. So it starts off and it's like really dark and very gloomy, and then red is sort of the big color pops.
I can hide.
Where are you, librarian?
I'm right outside of Austin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Austin is so cool.
Where are you from? Or where do you live?
I live in Colorado now, but
It's beautiful.
we have a lot of Texans in Colorado.
Yes,
Especially after
we're escaping.
I was going to say, especially after the election.
Yes.
It's not that there was a time that librarians did never have to fight censorship, but right now, they're fighting it more than ever.
OCD and ADHD, and so I saw yours and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna go with that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Book bans are currently at an all-time high. According to PEN America, during the 2023 to 2024 school year, PEN America recorded over 10,000 instances of book bans. Nearly 60% of those banned titles are written for young adult audiences, for growing brains. The people most harmed by book bans are marginalized people. And contrary to popular belief, just because a book is banned doesn't mean it suddenly sells more or is given to more kids. In fact, it means that less kids have access to these books. And libraries are one of the few places kids can have access to these books, and readers can have access to these books. Librarians are on the front lines of censorship every day, especially in red states like Texas. My 2020 graphic novel, Go With The Flow, is a banned book thanks to Keller, Texas. So going to Texas to be able to share my new book with librarians felt particularly special. In 2020, I was lucky enough to be on tour for my book, Go With The Flow. My co-author, Karen, and I got to go to all sorts of different places around the country until the pandemic shut us down. Like many people, the pandemic put a damper on what I had hoped would be a wonderful time. I was hoping to connect with readers, librarians, educators, and other comics professionals. But years later, I am still enjoying every opportunity I get to be able to go out and meet readers, connect with librarians, connect with booksellers who are hand selling my books. And TLA was such an amazing opportunity to connect with these librarians. In the signing line, I got to meet teacher librarians, library assistants, proud library parents, and even a few Maverick committee members. Go With The Flow was a Maverick pick in 2020. I got to hear stories about kids asking for books about OCD and how librarians were excited to share exposures with young readers. I got to also hear how librarians themselves were excited to see their kid selves in my book and Peyton's struggles. I also got to hear from a librarian about how they use Go With The Flow in their presentations to other librarians. All this to say, I came back to Colorado with my cup full of excitement and feeling a lot less alone in the world and a lot less alone in my creation. My books get to affect people, and that's one of the coolest things about making art as a professional artist. When I see my book exposures, I can so clearly envision the kid I was, finding this book on the shelf of my middle school library and devouring it, and seeing myself in the mirrors it provided. The only thing is, this book didn't exist until 2026. So I feel really excited about the kids who are going to get to see themselves in Peyton. And I'm really excited for the window in which they get to see that their future is bright. I'm so grateful for all librarians for what they do and how important their work is. I say this from the perspective of an educator, an author, and a former reluctant reader. So thank you so much to all librarians for what you do, and I hope I get to connect more with you and with more librarians in 2026 as Exposures continues to kind of make its way into the world. That's a wrap on TLA 2026.